1990. A representative from Game Freak Inc. pitches a concept to head members of Nintendo staff of a video game designed from his fondness of catching insects as a child. Nintendo agrees to help fund the project, and the starting ideas that will eventually become the Pokemon brand are officially born. In 96, releasing only to a Japanese audience, Pokemon arrived much later than the intended plan. Along with the delay, sales were still tracking decently under Nintendo's goals for the games. A good 6 months after release, a section in the popular Japanese magazine Kuro Kuro would spark the interest of children. With a narrative of searching for hidden Pokemon only available due to a glitch, Pokemon Red and Green had now skyrocketed to 1 million copies sold, with the starting talks of an anime series and an international debut. On the back end, creating mock-ups that had the potential to become fully realized Pokemon was hard enough, let alone actually implementing and coding those designs. The development cycle of video games are consistently clouded with the veil of secrecy to the public, sometimes even 20 plus years after a game has been released. Disclosing private information is often met with legal action throughout the video game industry, and Nintendo falls right in line with this thinking and have, at multiple times, thrown around lawsuits regardless of how much of a die-hard fan is on the other side. In September 2010, 14 years after the Kuro Kuro article that blew up Pokemon in the beginning, a 27-year-old Japanese man was arrested for leaking 6 pictures of unreleased Pokemon captured from his mobile phone. Only 2 days after posting the copywritten images, he was arrested by Japan's cyber police. Although no official comment was ever given from either party, it was speculated he was a part of the game testing process. After being arrested by the police, he would face no jail time. Presumably a pretty fat fee, but not much information was posted after he was brought to court, and it's thought they most likely settled outside. But what if I were to tell you that there was one person who is dedicated to do almost anything? That there is someone who is solely the reason you or I have ever seen a beta or cut Pokemon in full, and that this person's also responsible for the recent massive leak of Nintendo games. But what if I were to tell you that what's been released might just be a tenth of what was found? This is a story of Space World 97, UK's Department of Education, and a man named Zamis Clark. 2008, an account with the Blaziken avatar is created on Glitch City Laboratories, an online forum and wiki made to post about Pokemon glitches in beta content. The username was Wacko with a 0, and their first comment was on a post about altering the game's data to create a glitched, almost missing no versions of Pokemon. The original poster had realized that altering certain Pokemon's code did different things to a subgroup of the original 151. Wacko had commented, "Has anyone tested Mew/Mewtwo?" To which he was met with an astounding response of, "Why don't you?" Whether it was X-Parasite 9's fault or not, Wacko would quickly learn how to perform the tasks similar to the one he was somewhat rudely instructed to do. Fast forward a bunch of years, and on the GCL forums, our boy Wacko had been busy taking that invalid Pokemon thing to the 10th degree. By 2015, with his sights still set on finding more information, Wacko had done digging through all generations of Pokemon to that point, and nearly on launch was doing research on the new 7th generation. With the common belief and shred of hope that this error was due to cut Pokemon that never fully made it into the games, Wacko and some others had tried their asses off to turn that missing no or error message into a real Peekaboo. Okay, bear with me for a sec. Meet Imperio Education Pro. Imperio Education Pro is a program for schools to monitor what's happening on their computers. Basically, when you type a swear word into Google, this program's designed to narc on you, and in 2014, it was in more than 25% of the secondary schools in the UK. But it turns out the program designed to keep kids safe was quite literally doing the opposite. In 2015, a security researcher who was only 20 years old at the time, Zamis Clark, accused Imperio Education Pro of doing wrongdoing in the most 2015 way possible. Posted to haveibeenpwned.com, the UK-based employee of Malwarebytes said that they found a flaw that would allow someone to obtain all of the information in a school system. Stating that it was possible to access the names of children, ages, and even addresses, a hacker could leave a school, quote, completely pwned. Being forced to comment via UK publications, Imperio Education Pro wouldn't exactly own up to the accusations, stating that the security researcher was enabling people to do destructive things with their product. Going on to soft threaten legal action, they were clearly passing the blame onto Clark and claimed it was almost impossible to use their products in such a way. To which everyone went, no. A similar accomplished security engineer called Imperio's comments bizarre and showed an utter disregard for customers. Negative PR was starting to stack up. Imperio would seriously tuck their tails between their legs when UK's Department of Education would basically go, "Hey, stop," to which the program would revamp their system after a temporary drop in usage. But this security researcher wasn't done posting yet. 4 months after posting information related to UK middle schools, Zamis Clark was at it again with the same questionable approach. Posting yet again to haveibeenpwned.com, God, I love that name. Clark basically told you how to hack VTech's database, a multi-million-dollar Chinese toy distributor. Essentially being accused of the same practice to Imperio, right before Black Friday, VTech's preparation for the holiday was in troubled waters. Clark posted how he was able to access the information of about 4.8 million children through one of VTech's phone apps. This data included names, birthdays, and even parents' information and addresses. But unlike Imperio, it wasn't just going to be a comment from the big man upstairs. VTech was fined $650,000 from the Federal Trade Commission. On top of the decent fine, they were directed to regularly update their data security program under the threat of audits from the FTC for the next 20 years. In small circles, Clark was gaining notoriety for his data breaching, although admittedly not done through the best of practices. People interested were reading his blogs posted on the Malwarebytes resources page, a company he was still employed by. In terms of the general hacking community, Clark was becoming someone who was consistently praised by his peers. Although his methods were brash, he was young and seemingly only using his powers for good. Dramatic pause. In May of 2018, images of Pokemon never seen before were posted to 4chan. These pictures, if real, were unlike anything previously seen in unused and cut Pokemon content, and let's just say the nerds at Glitch City were having a field day. It was taken from the Pokemon Gold and Silver Space World 97 demo, named after the trade show hosted by Nintendo. Like the name suggests, in 97, Game Freak displayed a very early version of the games, as they wouldn't come out for 2 years after. At the trade show itself, little was shown besides an early look at the starting town, but the demo had much more inside the code than what was shown. Someone, somehow, had gotten their hands on the demo and had posted the screenshots of the secrets inside. With only Chikorita available, the other two starters we grew up with are absent, replaced with 2 lines of almost completely foreign Pokemon. Furthermore, so many Pokemon in this game are completely changed, cut, or might be the inspirations for future generations, but the entire Pokedex looks nothing like the final one. Quite literally, these were secrets that probably would have been taken to the grave, if not posted to the toxic landmine of a domain that is 4chan. But why are we able to see this? How are we able to see this? Did a Nintendo employee cross out their headband and go rogue for revenge? While some people question the origin, most people were just having fun looking at Beta Wooper or Fat Pichu or whatever weird one you like the most. Pokemon fans everywhere were having a blast, and Glitch City Labs and other similar forums were digging and compiling everything that was new and different. The demo was completely in Japanese, so a team of fans from GCL was formed who had access to the ROM to translate the project. Calling themselves Team Space World, what do you know, Wacko was present on the team. The 2 worlds Zamis Clark was a part of were about to collide fully in the worst way. Whether immediately or not, Wacko would admit to everyone in the group of his wrongdoing, and that he's the reason that they had the ROM. Going on to sharing the rest of what he had with certain members, Team Space World quickly learned that Wacko had found much more than just the demo. By the following month, Clark would go silent on both Glitch City Labs and his contributions to the Space World team. It would be quite some time before the magnitude of what he found was realized to the public, but everything would come ahead for Wacko very soon.
Thanks so much for staying in your news desk, and as we do on Fridays, Kobe Nkrumah is here to bring us the latest from the world of technology. Kobe, let's start with hacking.
Non-disclosed until March 2019, Zamis Clark, the security mastermind and supposed hacker for good, had apparently been arrested in July of 2017 for infiltrating Microsoft's internal servers. Clark uploaded tools to a Microsoft server through one of their online chat rooms and was able to access and download confidential data, and through a cat and mouse game by uploading malware, wasn't caught for 6 months. The information stolen from Microsoft mostly consisted of pre-beta versions of Windows, but honestly it's not known the extent of what he saw. In total, Clark had access to about 43,000 stolen files and had done almost 8,000 searches in Microsoft's database for similar unreleased builds. Finally being brought down by the FBI and the National Cybercrime Unit, Zamis Clark was being pressed with life-altering charges from hacking Microsoft. They estimated roughly $2 million in damages due to the amount of accounts Clark had breached. And yet throughout all this, at the time in 2017, Wacko was steady posting on Glitch City Labs. How? Because somehow, Clark, after being bailed out on charges from the FBI, was on normal probation, which meant he had zero restrictions on his internet use. So you're facing $2 million in charges, and the next 10 years of your life are probably over. You just spent the last 10 years of your life posting on internet forums about unreleased Pokemon. You're 23 and just made bail. What do? Hack Nintendo. Not even 6 months after being arrested by the FBI, Zamus Clark hacked into Nintendo's game development servers. 2 months after, the Space World 97 demo is anonymously uploaded. 1 month after that, and Red and Green's original sprites are posted. Clark was able to remain unnoticed by Nintendo for 3 months, finding an insane amount of unreleased versions of games, most of which are just coming to light. Clark, aka Wacko, aka ____, aka Rayleigh, or whatever username he was using at the time, had accumulated 2 million damages from Microsoft and now around 1.8 million from Nintendo, and things weren't looking so hot. Wacko, now having the answers to the questions he was asking for a decade, was facing minimum 17 years in prison. But then we found out something that had nothing to do with Beta Leafeon or Windows 96 or Toys for Toddlers. Zamus Clark is diagnosed with autism and prosopagnosia, also referred to as facial blindness. People who suffer from this often have a problem recognizing others, with facial features often altering and changing mid-sentence, sometimes struggling to immediately recognize family or even one's own face. People with the disorder often use tricks to remember people, like hair color or clothing, but it's common for people diagnosed to stay inside because of the overwhelming and disconnected feeling the disorder brings upon. In a letter written to the judge of the case, Clark's parents wrote a statement describing their son's problems, as well as their plans for a possible rehabilitation. His mother fully detailed her son's issues and his struggles with his day-to-day life. She wrote about the heartbreak she felt for allowing the second attack on Nintendo to happen, and how she wasn't there for her son to prevent it. Now quitting her full-time job, her plan was to be with her son through every step in the future and rehabilitation. The judge of the case would only sentence Zamus Clark to 15 months on house arrest and 2 years of probation, with trust in his mother's plans for the future. A crime prevention order was put in place for 5 years, so if Clark were to do anything again, he'd immediately go to jail. Judge Moline said that a main reason for his decision was due to the unique circumstance of this case, stating, "This is a young man who would suffer disproportionately if he went to prison. The heartbreak, and I can only see it as heartbreak for his parents, comes across loud and clear. They are to be commended." As of the writing of this script, 2 weeks ago, a massive leak of beta Nintendo games, mostly from the Nintendo 64's catalog, were just released to the public. This was pretty massive in terms of how much the files contained, and countless data miners everywhere are rejoicing to be able to display new secrets to the public, but these leaks aren't beneficial for everyone. On July 12, 2020, Glitch City Laboratories, the home for so many dedicated Pokemon fans for 16 years, announced they'd be archiving the website due to new source code being leaked on their forums. In a post detailing the decision, a head admin wrote about the risks of continuing to be a home for tainted data, and rather to accept this fact, they put an end to the forums. Still remaining archived, just unable to post or create new accounts, the hope is for a new similar community to be born off of GCL's legacy. As of now, no account linked to Zamus Clark has posted since being arrested a second time. It is hopeful and probable to assume that Zamus Clark's mother and her plans for rehabilitation are working, as no information or police records have come out since the judge's ruling. As for the story itself, there admittedly were a couple other characters somewhat involved that aren't mentioned in this video, but we chose to keep Zamus Clark at the forefront whenever possible, mostly for him being the one mainly convicted and just trying to avoid spewing alleged information on this delicate source material. It's possible that this recent leak of Nintendo games truly was the full extent of what Clark had found in March 2018, but we won't really know until we know. Regardless, if similar things do appear in the future, we'll probably know who was initially responsible for them, and can hopefully just be aware that these beta versions of our childhood games comes at a real cost for some, and that fat Pichu did come from dirty hands.
Hello, my name is Patty. I am 1/4 of Austin Melee, and I made this video. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to Austin Melee. We are still just a relatively small channel at the time of recording this, so like every sub actually super matters. Yeah, thank you so much. Bye, subscribe.